Hi everyone, so it's me, Christina, again, and I chose to read Rosie Revere Engineer for this project. So this book is intended for lower elementary students, but I think a person of any age could learn something valuable from this story. So I included my favorite quote from the book up in the top left corner that I think represents an important theme in this story. It says, "Your only true failure can come if you quit." So I hope you enjoy my book review. So, Rosie Revere Engineer is written by Andrea Beatty in a series of her books called The Questionnaires. So, a little background on Beatty. She studied biology and computer science in college, and she worked for a computer software company before she decided to become a writer. So, she's very uh, educated in the STEM world, and she wrote these books to help celebrate STEM, perseverance, and passion. So Beatty has written many books, but her new collection of books of the questionnaires is very popular and encourages makers to not be afraid of trying creative things, and it puts girls in the forefront of their stories, which I think is very unique for science and STEM books to showcase girls as the main characters. So, for the framework of Rosie Revere Engineer, I chose three main themes from the book that I think teachers could eventually build lessons from. So, the first theme is of makers, and so Beatty uses Rosie Revere to encourage students to be makers in and out of the classroom. And I also chose this one just because we had a whole section of um, or whole module on makers this year, so I thought it was important to include that. And then the second theme was empowerment. So Rosie Revere has her grandma to help her realize that she is capable of doing hard things. So, kids always tend to feel discouraged when something doesn't go the way they expected it to. So to always show that, hard things and troubles may come, but if it's something you try at, you have a chance of being successful. And the last theme was perseverance. So Rosie Revere thinks that she has failed at many things, but she has to work through it and realize that failing doesn't have to be the end. So, kids will mess up and then they think, oh, I'm not going to try it again because I didn't do it. But really, you've still made progress and you made things happen. So you just have to keep moving through that. So, for the thesis of Rosie Revere Engineer, I thought that it attempted to make STEM a bigger conversation for students. And I know that's something that a lot of schools and parents are really pushing for right now is the whole STEM movement. And then read, question, and think. Those are three words that Beatty uses as the slogan for her questionnaires books. And what makes it great for the classroom, you want your students to read the books and question them and think about them. You don't want it to just be a mindless read. You want it to be something that has a lesson to it. And it also empowers kids to think outside the box. Rosie Revere is doing things that other kids in her classroom aren't doing. And so it celebrates that being a little different and doing things that aren't really the norm in your classroom or among your peers. So, for a quick little summary about Rosie Revere Engineer, first we begin the book with shy Rosie. So Rosie was shy around other people, but would search for the trash for treasures to build things with. So, around her classmates, she was quiet and shy, but then when she was by herself, her mind would just run wild and she would let herself explore and try to build things. And then once she starts building things, she becomes embarrassed because grown-ups and her peers laugh at the things that she makes because they're so wild and so creative that they just think it's so amazing and so funny that she came up with those things, but it actually embarrasses her and hurts her that people are laughing at her. And then she eventually becomes empowered when her Aunt Rose reminds her that you can only fail if you choose to quit. So she tells her, she built this amazing thing that she wants to help her aunt fly, but it ends up crashing. But our aunt reminds her before it crashed, it did fly. So you did make something happen. You just have to figure out how to, you know, make it fly longer. And then finally, at the end, she decides to keep moving forward, and so Rosie continued to make things, and she started to make things at school with her friends. So, at the beginning of the book, she didn't want to be outgoing and do things with her friends at school. She wanted to be shy, but at the end, she introduces her maker talent to her other classmates. So for the analysis, I chose another 3 little mini lessons or mini things of why this book would be a good classroom resource. So first, it talks about confidence. So it introduces a conversation of how to respond when people laugh at you. And it really shows how adults and other peers may laugh when students do something that's cute or different, and it shows how hurtful it can be to the young kids. But also how it's not necessarily intended to be mean. So it really can be a two-sided lesson where, one, you don't want to laugh at other people because they could be hurt by it. But also when people laugh at you, it doesn't always mean that they're making fun of you. They are, I think, sometimes a natural response for people when they're so impressed by something you do is to laugh and to just be like, wow, you really did that. That's amazing. But, young kids can take it the wrong way. So it's kind of a two-sided lesson that I thought was really cool how she used it in the story. And then another one is for determination. It shows how important it is to not give up on your dreams. Rosie didn't want to keep making things after it crashed or after people laughed at you, but it's so important to keep trying, and if you love doing something, not to stop just because it didn't work out the first time. And then, of course, STEM celebration. It makes STEM relevant, and it, just shows people how fun and exciting STEM and science and being a maker can really be. So some final thoughts on Rosie Revere Engineer. So Rosie Revere Engineer had many lessons that could be discussed in class. Some examples include being a maker, being confident in who you are, not giving up when you think something is wrong, and so many more. I thought that this was a very strong book that is very forward-thinking and can be a very powerful tool to empower kids and especially young girls. And that's my book review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks.